good to be here. It always is. This is a great community and great Jackrabbit support, so it's a treat to be down here. I'm gonna just run through our season a little bit, some of the highs and lows, and Steve hit a little bit of it, and then talk about some inside stuff in our program and answer any questions you have. We started out 3-0. Had a really good win out in Montana State. Had a couple of home victories and had real high expectations. I went into fall camp meeting with the seniors, 15 seniors, and we talked about being a top 8 seed for the last 3 years. We just missed it. Then previous 2 years, and then we were an 8 seed last year. And I said, "What are your thoughts? Top 8 seed? Is that okay to talk about?" And Dallas Goddard said to me, he said, "That's too weak, Coach." He said we should talk about an aim for being the top 2 seed, which assuming North Dakota State could be in that deal, would hopefully would meet in Frisco. And so we put that on our goals. All right. So we get to our conference, which gets you the seed and the automatic berth and stuff. We go out to Youngstown. We got manhandled. If you remember that game, they beat us. We go right down the field. The first series, Dallas fumbles on the 5-yard line, and we had the ball for 15 minutes. That's the worst torture I've been through. Youngstown State had the ball for 45 minutes out of 60, and they literally kicked our butt. The score didn't show that. It's 19-7, but they literally manhandled us. So we came back. We thought we made some adjustments. We beat Southern Illinois handily, and then if you were at Oboe Day, Northern Iowa came in and they essentially did the same thing to us. They changed 2 things, one on offense, one on defense. They ran what people commonly call wildcat. And so you don't know their personnel. They split their quarterback out and they run the ball with they run a one-back set with their tailback being their quarterback. And the kid had a career day. He hadn't been on film since that. He'd been injured. And then they changed their defense totally, so we had to throw out 90% of our game plan. And Nick wouldn't understand that. They went from even defense to showing what they were going to do with their sandbacker just about all the time to not playing an even defense, to play non-defense. And we as coaches had to scramble. Our offensive coaches did, and again, lost that. And so then our beat writer in Sioux Falls says we're out of the playoffs, Mr. Positive Matt Zimmer, and that's a compliment, right? That's a compliment. He's just doing his job. And we met on Sunday as coaches, and I said, narrow down what you talk about. There's no, what we do is good here. There's no magic deal, but narrow down what you talk about, all right? Have a clear focus. Met with the team Monday night. These are normal meetings. Met with the team Monday night going into the Missouri State deal, and I said, we're going to talk about one thing for here on out, and that's going to be we're going to be 1-0. And we always talk about being 1-0. In fact, it's on our tunnel as we walk out. It says 1-0. That's the goal of the game. That's the goal of the week. But we talked about being 1-0 on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and ended up winning 5 in a row. Ended up 6-2 in the conference. 4 of those last victories were against ranked teams. 2 of them being rivalry games. North Dakota State, USD beat Illinois State, a real good football team in overtime, and then beat Western along the way also. And so they did what we asked them to do. And it was, I've said the same thing for 21 years as a head football coach. So I have no secrets, all right? But I do know this: when you stick to the plan and don't panic, when you don't come up with a new slogan every week, they either get bored to death or they buy in. And our guys do both. They get bored and they buy in. And went into the playoffs. Our daughter was pregnant with their second child, and the birth. The due date was the Saturday after Thanksgiving, which is the first round of playoffs. So real early in her pregnancy, she figured it out. She said, "Dad, you got to get a bye because I need to be at the game." And that's how sick our family is, right? And so we got the bye. We were 5th seed, and she had the baby a couple days after the due date, and was literally going to come to the UNI game after giving birth 6 days. And we said, "No, there'll be more games. Just stay at home." And we beat UNI. They came back in the second round. We beat New Hampshire, which is a great program, great tradition. I think they've been in the playoffs 14 years, 15 years straight, and beat them handily. And then we had a chance to go to James Madison to a program that I didn't know much about other than their success. And you can study things in press guides, but until you get there and see what they have, a little bit like Vermillion probably in terms of community, not a very big town. They're in. We had to stay somewhere else. It didn't have a full service hotel really for our size and travel roster, but learned some stuff. Not about coaching football, about James Madison. Their budget is 3 times what ours is, and they're much higher than North Dakota State, so they invest in football. They're building an indoor facility. They signed their coach to a 10-year contract, so they've made a commitment. They made a commitment to be great in football. And they're in an area where when a guy leaves Clemson, he's going to go to James Madison, which they just got Clemson's backup quarterback from last year. So what happened at James Madison? We had 16 turnovers in the first 13 games. We had 10 in one football game. And you know, I don't take this wrong. I thought I was coaching basketball there for a while. You know, don't take that wrong, basketball fans, right? But I mean, Taryn Christian had 9 of them himself. He threw 6 interceptions and had 3 fumbles. And the thing I told him after the game, I know that will never happen again because I'm going to take you out before you get to 9. So, but played really good. I mean, we had 5 turnovers in the first quarter, and the game was 7-0, and their drive was a 5-yard drive because we fumbled on the 5-yard line. So we can play with those guys, but you can't play when you do that. And so I went home. You know, and I'm sitting on the couch. 2 things. I'm sitting on the couch. A couple days later, and I looked at my wife Lori, who's my greatest supporter and been through a lot. And I said, you know, honey, all these guys we lose, we're never going to have another football team like this. And she said, you know how many times you said that? You will. And so she reassured me. And then when I was watching the FBS playoffs, and I don't know if you remember Georgia and Alabama and those teams and all the hoopla and stuff like that. And I'm sitting there watching that, and I said, this is a big deal. And I thought, that's where we were. I mean, that's where we got in the playoffs. Having to get a bye and win 2 games. They got there by choice. And so really proud of our football team. Really proud. Steve mentioned, I mentioned, we have some really special players. 2 of them are going to be in the combine here in a week and a half. Unheard of. I was standing on the field. We had more pro scouts at our practices than we've had in the last 10 years probably. Even with Zach Zinner. We had 3-4 a day early in fall camp. I'm standing in the northeast corner of the stadium, and I'm talking to the scout from the Bears. And again, I know we got a lot of Nebraska fans down here, right? Don't take this wrong either. But I'm standing there with him, and I said, yeah, he was asking me about 4 guys, one of them being yours, Kellen Sulik and Goddard and Onasorgi and Winnicky, if you follow our program. He was asking me, and I said, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little embarrassed that I'm commenting on this many guys. He said, Coach, you have more prospects than Nebraska has this year. And and I'm not knocking Nebraska, I'm talking about those special guys we have on our football team. And so Dallas is rated by the top tight end in America. Some people have talked about Jake Winnicky being drafted in 3rd, 4th round. Onasorgi is going to get into a camp, and Kellen should get into a camp. So we got 4 legitimate guys that will have a chance to pursue their dream. And this is what I get to be part of. You know, they tell the head coach, after your season's over, the NFL Combine contacts the head coach to tell their players when they get into the Combine. Because it's a distraction. Because you may be in a bowl game, and you don't want to tell them a week before. So we lose. The next week I get this email, it was a letter, that talked about Dallas and Winnicky are in Combine. Those guys are gone. They're training. They're out. It's 2nd semester. They've already graduated. So I call up Jake Winnicky, and he started crying on the phone. He was so excited, so appreciative of this opportunity of getting in the NFL Combine. So good year, great players, and like my wife said, somehow she said we'll be back. Again, Steve mentioned, we ended up 3rd and 4th in the 2 major polls. And I hope we take that for granted. I hope we expect that. I don't take it for granted, but I hope we expect that. And great words in the locker room. That was a tough locker room at James Madison. The guys were crying, hugging each other, and because you don't know what's going to happen. You know, it's not a bowl game. You think you're going to play on. And Jake Onasorgi said that our starting center, who started more games than anybody in South Dakota State history, he said, you better not stop here in the semifinals. He said, we brought you this far, you take it to the next level. And honestly, I get shivers thinking about that talk. Proud of the team.